Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 7 proved yet again that Boruto is an absolute menace, easily dispatching of characters like Code, Mitsuki, and according to Mitsuki himself, Kawaki wouldn't even stand a chance. But is this really true? How exactly does the sidecast in Boruto compare to Boruto himself? This is what we will be breaking down in today's video, as this chapter seems to have given us the necessary hints for us to come to a good conclusion. So starting off with the fight between Boruto and Mitsuki, and to say that this fight was one-handed, it would be an understatement. Boruto defeated Mitsuki in an epic fashion, and Boruto didn't have to use his most broken ability that we know for the moment, which is Uzuhiko on Mitsuki. Boruto didn't have to resort to that, which just shows the difference between Boruto and Mitsuki. However, I wouldn't really say that this is a crazy L for Mitsuki, because we know that Boruto is able to beat characters like Code, who has been stated to be stronger than Jigen without his limiters, and in the time skip he no longer has his limiters, and we saw in chapter 3 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex that Boruto easily dispatched of him. In chapter 2, people doubted Boruto when he said that killing Code was easy, but he proved it in the following chapter by dispatching of Code and making him retreat to the Ten Tails dimension. Because let's say for example, Mitsuki was actually able to land a hit on Boruto. How do you think that most fans will react? A lot of the fans are going to say that, oh, the power scaling in Boruto is crazy, the power creep is crazy. How is Mitsuki, somebody who just got his Sage Mode and was barely able to even take care of a character like Deepa, now in the time skip for some odd reason he is stronger than Code? This is what a lot of people would be saying. These are the sorts of complaints that we would have seen if Mitsuki was actually able to put a better performance than Code himself. We know that Code, at least when he fought Boruto, he was able to make contact with Boruto by touching his sword. However, Mitsuki wasn't able to do that. So in my opinion, Code's performance versus Boruto is a lot better than Mitsuki's performance versus Boruto. However, we do have to keep in mind that Mitsuki was going through some sorts of doubts, as stated by Boruto. So both Boruto and Mitsuki weren't going all out in this fight. So I don't think this fight shows that Sage Mode is completely useless. We don't really learn too much about Sage Mode, apart from the fact that we know that Mitsuki is able to create snake clones of himself that are also able to use Sage Mode. We don't learn too much more about that due to the difference in their power and both of them holding back during this fight. So this fight isn't really a fair assessment of Mitsuki's true power. We do get some good exchanges between Mitsuki and Boruto. Mitsuki was able to catch Boruto off guard in chapter 6 by him catching him with his snakes. Even though Boruto easily escaped using Fire Raijin, this is an impressive feat. And another impressive feat that we see in the fight is Mitsuki being able to match Boruto's lightning style with his own snake lightning. This is impressive for Mitsuki. We don't learn too much in this fight, but we know that Mitsuki has some pretty strong moves, and it shows potential in Mitsuki's Sage Mode, even though we don't learn too much. However, what we do get in this fight is a benchmark of strength, what truly separates the strong from the godly like Boruto. And that benchmark we learned in chapter 7 is being able to beat or make Code retreat, because we know that Code has surpassed Jigen. So Code's power level seems to be the benchmark that allows us to assess how strong a character truly is. If you are able to beat Code, you are at that godly tier, but if you are not, you are still strong, but you are not strong enough to match characters like Boruto and Damien. But due to the portrayal of Code throughout the series, a lot of people don't really like the fact that he seems to be the benchmark of true power, as they don't believe that Code himself without his limiters truly surpasses Jigen. Because at first, a lot of people didn't believe that Unlimited Code, who was portrayed as this weak guy, being able to be defeated by characters like Damien, who is just an 8-year-old kid. A lot of people didn't like the fact that Code had surpassed Jigen. But we were given multiple different statements as to why this truly is the case. And we were given a statement by Damien himself confirming that Code is actually stronger than Jigen. But to a character like Damien, being second or third doesn't matter, because he is number 1. But now, because of this, what we are seeing people do is actually downgrade Jigen and make him seem like he is not actually that strong. Because what a lot of people would mention is that before Jigen went to go fight Naruto and Sasuke, he got the Ten Tails amp, which allowed him to be able to beat Naruto and Sasuke. This is the claim that a lot of people would make. They would say that, oh, if Jigen didn't go to the Ten Tails and get an amp, he probably wouldn't be able to beat Naruto and Sasuke. So Code surpassing Jigen is not that crazy of a feat, because Jigen needed the Ten Tails amp to be able to defeat Naruto and Sasuke. So here is how I stand on this issue. First of all, I wouldn't say that somebody taking chakra from somebody else or a different entity, in the Ten Tails case, would mean that that character is weak. For example, we have Momoshiki, who took some chakra from Naruto before going to defeat Boro. So are we now going to say that Momoshiki is not stronger than Boro because he had to go take Naruto's chakra before going to defeat Boro? And when I'm saying Momoshiki, I mean Boroshiki. Momoshiki, when he took control of Boruto's body, and before going to dispatch of Boro, he went to go get some of Naruto's chakra because Boruto was knocked out unconscious, he was fighting for a long time, and was likely out of chakra. Because of this situation that Momoshiki found himself in, he went to go take some of Naruto's chakra and then easily dispatched of Boro. So are we now going to say that Momoshiki couldn't really beat Boro without Naruto's chakra? I don't think that's the case. And one thing that we have to remember is who exactly Jigen is. Because we have to remember that Ishiki was forced into placing his karma onto Jigen because there was nobody else around and he was in a state where he could die anytime. So he went to the closest person that was there, and that person happened to be Jigen. Jigen is not a shinobi. Jigen is not a fighter or a rogue ninja who can use chakra. That's not what he seems to be. Jigen's origin is as a simple monk, not a shinobi, which means that Jigen himself with his body probably had low chakra reserves or maybe non-existent levels of chakra, which is why Jigen's body likely consistently collapsed and why he had to have this tool around his body for him to be able to stay alive. It is likely because of this that Jigen needed to go to the Ten Tails to receive chakra, because Jigen's body likely couldn't create the chakra necessary to be able to fight these strong levels of opponent. And we have to remember that the first time we ever seen Ishiki in Jigen's body use True Essence Karma is after he stole or borrowed some of the Ten Tails chakra. It is likely that probably without the Ten Tails chakra, Ishiki in Jigen's body couldn't go into True Essence Karma due to the limitation that Jigen's body had. Which is why I personally believe that the benchmark that the authors have given us is Jigen True Essence. So when we say that Unlimited Code is stronger than Jigen, I believe that it is True Essence Karma that we are talking about. And we are given a lot of hints of why Jigen with his Ten Tails amp is the benchmark of Jigen's true strength. This is what is being determined where we are evaluating how strong Code is compared to Jigen. Because it is likely that every time Jigen had a major fight, he goes to collect some of the Ten Tails chakra. As in chapter 35, when he goes to take chakra from the Ten Tails, he says, I need to take a little more chakra again. I don't think he said chakra, but he says, I need to take a little more again. As you can see right here, this proves that Jigen has been consistently coming to the Ten Tails and taking more chakra. It could be either to make sure that Jigen's body doesn't collapse, as we saw his body collapsing. He was an imperfect vessel, and Ishiki always got mad when he saw Jigen's body collapse. Or it means that Ishiki in Jigen's body needed to have more chakra in order for him to tap into True Essence Karma. This is another possible outcome. So this means that True Essence Karma Jigen is what we are comparing Code to when we are saying that Unlimited Code is stronger than Jigen. This is the outcome that makes the most sense. And to me, Code being stronger than True Essence Karma Jigen makes a lot of sense. Obviously, Jigen probably has the better fighting style and the better IQ simply due to him having thousands of years of experience, but we can't forget that Code inherited Ishiki's karma, although it is defective and definitely comes with a lot of drawbacks, like him not being able to absorb ninjutsu and him also not being able to help Ishiki revive in in his body. Although this is the case, we're not going to forget that it still comes with Ishiki's battle experience and his true karma state. So it makes sense that Code, who is a fighter, and Code, who is able to use chakra without any of Jigen's help, is better at tapping into Ishiki's karma experience compared to Jigen, who is a simple monk. This makes a lot of sense. So this is my stance when it comes to Code being stronger than Jigen and everything that has to do with Jigen going to get chakra from the Ten Tails and that Ten Tails amp that a lot of people like to use to undermine Code's abilities. This is my personal stance. Maybe you disagree, but this is how I view things, and I think this fits the story a lot more. However, Kawaki doesn't seem to be on that level. Although Kawaki is this perfect vessel, and even in the time skip, we see him with all 8 of Ishiki's dojutsu, for some odd reason, he doesn't seem to be on the same level as Code, as Mitsuki doesn't believe that Kawaki could take on Code. Mitsuki said that Boruto being able to make Code retreat means that Kawaki is no match for Boruto. This is what we're seeing right here. This is what Mitsuki is saying in regard to Kawaki's strength. And this could be alarming, but there are 2 ways that one can interpret this. This at least means that in base, Code is stronger than Kawaki. However, when Kawaki is using his karma, this might be a different story, because we just don't know how strong Kawaki with his karma truly is. Because it is likely that Mitsuki never saw Kawaki use his karma, because Kawaki doesn't like Mitsuki being around him. So if he even trained, which I don't believe it's the case, because Kawaki doesn't believe in that shinobi like of training, he believes in fighting for the death and growing through that way, and growing through using different tools and different abilities. This is the way that Kawaki likes to train and grow. So Mitsuki probably never saw Kawaki train, or never saw Kawaki use the karma. So he might not be the best assessor of Kawaki's true power. So this is how I personally believe the ranking goes. It goes Boruto and Damien, who are on a different level. I can't say for now who is stronger just yet, but in my opinion, Damien has a bit of the edge, not only due to his abilities, but due to some of the feats that he has shown. We saw Baryon Naruto being able to catch Ishiki's rods, which appeared instantly, and Damien replicates a similar feat and goes even further by having the rods be in his mouth. Pause, no homo, I just had to say it out there. I don't mean it in that type of way, but you guys get what I mean by seeing the picture out front. So I don't believe right now that Boruto is there just yet, but he can be. But I still have Damien, who is this absolute menace. The way he's portrayed in the series, nobody is better than him. That's my own personal opinion, but we'll definitely see Damien get packed up in the future, maybe by the Shinshu or maybe by Boruto himself. But for the moment, I'll still give Damien that edge and I'll put Boruto second. But then we have our benchmark, which is Code. Code in his true essence karma, or Code in base, is that benchmark and line that we have that separates the godly from the strong. Then we would have Kawaki in base, maybe karma could change things, we don't know for sure. And then we have Sage Mode Mitsuki and Sarada with her 3-Tomo Sharingan in the time skip. We haven't seen Sarada use her Mangekyu Sharingan abilities just yet, so I can't confirm if she is truly stronger than Mitsuki. But Mitsuki, in my opinion, in the time skip has shown some better feats. So which is why I would place him right below Kawaki, or even right next to Kawaki, because Mitsuki has shown some pretty impressive feats. And the way he was talking, he was saying that Boruto would absolutely destroy Kawaki, but yet he was confident enough to go and fight Boruto himself, which is something, maybe he was just reckless, maybe he was just that, but I don't believe that the gap between Kawaki in base and Mitsuki in his Sage Mode is that far. But I still stand on Sarada for the current moment being the weakest in Team 7. This is how I personally view things based on the evidence that was presented. So now that we got my ranking out of the way, let's see some of you guys' ranking. I really am curious to see if some of you guys agree with me or some of you guys don't. I will start doing this more often. So the first comment I would like to discuss is by King Zeus, and this is his ranking. Number 1 is Damien. Number 2 is Boruto. Then Mitsuki, Kawaki, Code, and Sarda. This is what he says as an explanation. He says Damien is the unquestionable strongest at this point in the series. Boruto's feats put him at second, with a sizable gap between 2 to 6. Mitsuki from the latest chapter is currently stronger than Kawaki, and his battle sense and bloodlust must have definitely helped. Code and Kawaki are tied due to Kawaki hard countering Code's abilities, and Code unlocking abilities and staying ready during the time skip helps in his case. Sarda needs more feats, plus we haven't seen her use her Mangekyo Sharingan. I really like this list. This list is different from my list, but he backs it up with some good reasoning. I agree perfectly with the fact that Damien is number 1. I know that Boruto has been this crazy opponent, going crazy versus Code, going crazy versus Mitsuki, and everybody that we have seen him fight. However, if you pay close attention to the Code fight, we see that Boruto had to use his Uzuhiko to defeat Code. Maybe Code got stronger during the time skip, but Damien didn't even have to use any of his named abilities. He didn't use his most overpowered ability, which requires him to touch people's hands, as Bug literally exposed his ability to Code. So Code had information on Damien's ability, while Damien didn't use the other abilities that Ada told Damien not to tell anybody about. We literally saw Damien just use taijutsu and easily dispatch of a character like Code, and Boruto had to use Uzuhiko. Code could have definitely gotten stronger in the time skip, but some of the feats that Damien has shown in the series, I just have to put him at number 1 due to the respect and due to everything that I have seen. Boruto is definitely second, but Mitsuki, Kawaki, and Code, I think I would personally change it. I don't necessarily agree with the fact that Code is so low. I think that Code should be number 3, simply due to the fact that Mitsuki thought it was a big deal for Boruto to be able to make Code retreat. That's why I would put Code at number 3. I do understand why people would put Mitsuki over Kawaki due to the fact that 1, a lot of people don't really like Kawaki at the moment, and he hasn't shown anything too special in the time skip, but also Kawaki's words do imply that at least in his Sage Mode and his current Bloodlust, he is kind of stronger than Kawaki, because Mitsuki literally told Boruto that because he was able to make Code retreat, then Kawaki is no match for Boruto. Boruto would easily dispatch of Kawaki. However, Mitsuki still felt like he could fight Boruto, and he went to go fight Boruto, as we literally saw in that chapter. And he also said that he doesn't want Kawaki to interfere, as he wouldn't be able to go all out, as he would fear for Kawaki's safety. So although I disagree with this, I do understand some of the reasoning and some of the ranking that we are currently seeing. The most liked comment that we see under this post is by Sixpath Ashira. I don't know if I said it correctly, but he seems to have gotten the most likes, so this probably means that most people agree with this. He says Damien, and I perfectly agree, then Boruto, Kawaki, Code, Mitsuki, and Sarda. I only put Kawaki above Code because he hard counters his claw marks, but Code could possibly be physically stronger and have a better battle sense. I do agree with this. I can't lie, I don't have any problems with people putting Kawaki above Code, as the only information we really know is that in base, Code is definitely stronger. Kawaki is a hard counter for Code. So although Code may be stronger than Kawaki, due to the fact that he is a hard counter for Code, he would easily be able to dispatch of Code. So I do understand where this is coming from. And Sarda, until now, she literally doesn't have enough feats for us to put her any higher. Maybe with the Mangekyo Sharingan and Hidari potentially popping up to the Leaf Village, we could see something spectacular, but for the moment, I would simply have to agree with this placement. This placement is different from mine, with only Kawaki and Code being swapped, and I do like this ranking. So if you agree with this ranking, I think it's perfectly fine, and I do understand where you are coming from. I had a lot of people who did end up commenting under this post. Sorry if I didn't get to your comment, but definitely keep commenting. I probably didn't put your comment in this video, especially if you agreed with what I had in the video already, but the comment I want to discuss brings up a very good point that maybe could be a difference why people put Boruto over Damien. As I can't pronounce this guy's name, but you guys can see his profile, you would see that his ranking is Boruto as number 1, Damien as number 2, Code as number 3, Kawaki as number 4, Mitsuki at number 5, and then Sarada at number 6. This is a pretty interesting list, so we'll only be discussing the changes between his and my ranking, because the rest is pretty similar apart from Boruto and Damien, and this is what he has to say for putting Damien lower. He says, I scaled Damien lower because his reflection ability doesn't work 1v1 due to the need for him to touch a living being with his hands, and in terms of pure combat skills, people like Naruto, Sasuke, and Boruto would scale way higher, evident when Sasuke was able to injure a stronger version of Limitless Code despite being nerfed a year before. Hence, Damien's raw power won't be something that Boruto can deal with, as Boruto himself has pure Otsutsuki power and shinobi combat skills. The only part that I disagree about in this comment is the fact that he says that Damien doesn't have raw power. As I have talked about, Damien with a few hits and simply just taijutsu was able to get rid of Code like it was nothing. Boruto had to resort to using ninjutsu and his Uzuhiko Rasengan. Code could have probably gotten stronger in the time skip, but I still feel like this is an important feat that we see Damien perform. However, one thing that he does bring up that is quite interesting is the fact that for Damien to use his reflection ability, he has to be touching a living thing. Damien's abilities are not fully understood, but for the moment, that is the requirement that has been given to us by the authors. And if you keep in mind Rasengan Uzuhiko and how it activates the first part, which allows Boruto to somehow dodge everybody like he did with Code, the first part of that ability is activated after his opponent tries to touch him. For example, Damien tries to use his reflection ability by touching him, then Boruto would have his Rasengan Uzuhiko. Maybe Boruto developed the Rasengan Uzuhiko to deal with Damien's reflection. That could be the case, but for what we know right now, maybe this is a solid argument to prove that Boruto might just be able to defeat Damien. The last comment I want to discuss is by this guy right here, and he comments probably the most important statement for all of us Kawaki fans, and I added us because I am a Kawaki fan, and this is what he says. Let's see how they respond to Jura. Jura could be the catalyst for Kawaki to be able to redeem himself. And this is what we could see right now, as Kawaki versus Jura is the fight that may allow Kawaki to redeem himself, or it could go completely wrong and be the next stage in Kawaki's downfall. But whatever I know is that Jura versus Kawaki is going to be a very important fight, and that's why you have to watch this video right here to find out how it could truly go.